Guys, Tomboy601, and today we're taking a look at the Brandenburg, the all-new Tier 7 German battleship, and, well, it's this season's campaign ship, and it's one that I think is a little interesting. By no means this is the greatest ship out there, but god damn if I'm not having fun with it. Anyways, so, as usual, we're going to go ahead and talk about the commander, the module, the builds, and its consumables. Then we'll go ahead and show off a game in it, and hopefully you get a good idea on whether you want to buy the campaign and purchase the Admiralty backing to get this ship in your port after 6 long weeks. So with all that said, let's go ahead and dive on in. And first things first, let's go ahead and take a look at the commander. Now, I run Henry Hyde on the ship. He is kind of my go-to for the German battleships because he is a hybrid style commander. I get to have super long range secondaries while also getting some dispersion perks in there to tighten up the grouping because, of course, German battleships not exactly known for their accuracy. Inspirations, we're running Haruna and von Hipper because this is a full secondary build, 11.5 kilometers of secondaries. So, good long range on them. Then we are running, as far as skills go, Flammable Cannoneer, Porcupine, Marksmanship, Master Mechanic, and then Fight Fire with Fire. As far as the modules, well, in the first mod slot, we are running Secondary Battery mod. You could, of course, run Aiming System mod 1, but I like the full secondary build. I think it pairs nicely with how you want to kind of play this ship. Then we are running the Steering Gears mod 2 because, well, you're going to want to be able to turn and, it helps you with both the torpedoes you have on the ship and just generally being able to dodge incoming torpedoes. In the third mod slot, you only have Target Acquisition mod, but I'm poor right now, so I don't have it equipped. And then finally, we have the Main Battery mod 3 on the final thing. As far as consumables go, you have 3 consumables that you can use. The first one is the bog standard damage control party, 15-second duration with a reload time of 80 seconds. The next one is the repair party. It's going to heal 338 damage per second with a duration of 28 seconds. Reload time on it, 73.6 seconds. And because we have Master Mechanic, we have 5 charges of it, which does definitely help the survivability of this vessel. Finally, you have a choice between the good old spotter plane, the good old catapult fighter, and the enhanced secondary targeting. As we are building for as we're building for our secondaries, we're going to go ahead and use that enhanced secondary targeting. And those are the modules of the ship and the kind of build we are using. Now, let's go ahead and dive on into the ship's stats. So first things first, Brandenburg is going to have 62,740 hit points with an armor thickness between 9 and 360 millimeters. Let's go ahead and take a look at that armor view. As we can see, she is a well-armored beast, but she does have a huge superstructure that is not that well-armored, so you will be taking a good chunk of damage out there. But bright side, we do have this beautiful icebreaker hull. The lower bit of it is going to be 60 millimeters, which means nothing can really pen there. But you, of course, do still have that upper part of the deck at 32, which means things like Yamato can kind of punch through right there. Deck armor, well, you're looking between 32, 50, and then in the central area, 120 millimeters thick. So deck armor is fairly well armored, but once again, because this ship has this massive superstructure, you do have to be very wary of shells coming in and just taking full pen damage from that upper area. Citadel, well, it's well below the waterline, or at least at the waterline, and it is not the full width of the ship, which is nice. It also does feature that usual turtleback armor, as we can see down in those lower kind of angles. So you can still get Citadel in the ship, but at closer ranges, it is a bit more difficult to do so. So that's the armor. Let's continue with the stats. So torpedo reduction on the vessel is going to be 23%. Main battery, you're going to have 4 3-barreled 305mm guns with a firing range of 18.4 kilometers Reload time on those guns, 26.3 seconds, giving you 27 shells per minute and a 180 time of 34.5 seconds. HE damage, 3,600, giving you a fairly low DPM of only 97,200. You have a lot of guns, but they take a long time to reload, and therefore Brandenburg not exactly the king of DPM at this tier. AP damage, 9,400, giving you 253,800 as your DPM. Kind of same thing here. Decent potential damage, but you have small guns and you have fairly slow reloads on it, which means it is not exactly the most potent weapon out there. You do kind of have to rely on the secondaries to do chip damage to get decent games in. Speaking of which, the secondaries, you have 10 two-barreled 105mm guns and 6 two-barreled 150mm guns with a firing range of 11.5 kilometers with our current build. Those 10 by 2 105mm, they're going to reload in 3.3 seconds and do 1,200 damage and going to have a 5% chance to set fire. Those 6x2 150s, well, they're going to have a 7.5 second reload, do 1,700 damage when they hit, and have an 8% chance to set fire. The secondaries are where it's at. It's a fun ship just to run the secondaries. And not only do you have that beautiful secondary range, you do now also have torpedoes. 2 4-barreled 533mm torpedo launchers, pretty much at the hips of the ship, which means they are very much exposed and will in all likelihood be destroyed during the match. Reload time on them, 90 seconds with a damage of 13,700. Detectability range on them, 1.3 kilometers. Torpedo speed, 64 knots in a range of 6 kilometers. So they are very much either point defense or brawling torps, not exactly going to fire these babies from stealth. AA range on the vessel, 4.5 kilometers. Minimum damage, 167 damage per minute and a max of 424, giving the ship a very respectable AA suite. And that's going to do really well when you have to fend off those aircraft. Max speed of the vessel, 33.5 knots, with a turning radius of 820 meters. Rudder shift time, 13.4 seconds. Concealment is next, 14.7 kilometers by sea, 12.3 kilometers by air, and 12 kilometers when firing in smoke. And those are all of the stats of the vessel. As far as history of the ship, well, the Brandenburg never really exists. It's one of those paper ships that wargaming makes up. In this case, think of it like a subclass, an evolution of the Tirpitz and the Bismarck, but instead of running their traditional guns, it gets the guns off of the Odin. So kind of a weird mix match, and well, a ship that I do like that is in the game just because it adds a kind of third way to build out this kind of brawling style. And I know it probably won't be popular to say, but I think this may be my favorite of the three, which is weird. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive on into a game and we can go ahead and talk about the ship. So here we are on Sleeping Giant. We're over on the sea spawn, and our plan is kind of try to hide back in that back island, let the ships push in a little, and then start our advance. Now, Brandenburg has one of those weird ships where the main guns aren't the star of the show. I mean, you do absolutely have to use them, but what you're mainly planning on, what you're trying to keep in your brain, is that 11.5 kilometer range of those secondaries. You want to get ships within that range. You want to get them closer to you, and then you kind of want to spring your trap, because they are quite effective at just doing chip damage from a good distance away. They have a decent arc. They will be able to get over islands, and if you can get ships within that range, they do very well. Now, you can see we're kind of hiding in behind this island here because we can see a Bismarck is out there. He represents a small threat to us. He's somewhat broadside, and us, like him, very vulnerable to even AP damage up in that superstructure. We got a very decent 10k out of that first salvo, so we're just going to go ahead, stand on the brakes, try to kind of pie out this island is the best way to think about it, make it so that only one ship can really shoot at us, and that being the Bismarck. And then once he continues to push in, we'll kind of move forward and try to get him within secondary range. But while he's out here, we might as well just start damaging him, because it doesn't look like anyone else really has a shot on us, and we aren't actually going, kind of just waiting to see what our destroyers are doing. We are spotted by that Bismarck, so we kind of do have to be slightly careful, because we are at a somewhat of an angle to him, but we're doing pretty well. And well, he's kind of committed to pushing forward, and he's about to get slapped by a ton of those torpedoes, so we're going to go ahead and start pushing into the area now. C gets taken by our destroyers, thankfully, and we hit him one more time right there, and we're going to see if we can finish him off with these rear guns. Sadly, we don't take the kill, but we do a decent amount. Jervis off in B, seeing if we can kind of get in range of him. Leon out in the middle of B, which is an odd place to put your battleship, but he's exposed, so we're going to see if we can kind of start making our way that way. But then we notice there are torps in the water, and this is a nice place to show off just the kind of maneuverability Brandenburg does have. We can see we are able to easily dodge those torpedoes there, which is really nice. Now, we are kind of traveling in a convoy and leading the convoy of the rest of the battleships in the game, which is unfortunate, but such is the way that we have to experience. We kind of hope that our destroyers will kind of realize that torpedoes are coming out from that way and go out and try to spot wherever these torpedoes are incoming from, because, well, there's no way we will be able to push in to those destroyers and really take them out. We kind of indicate out there, like, hey, destroyers, you may not have twist and track, but there's a juicy target for you there. But sadly, we get no response. Anyways, lying broadside to us. We go ahead. We're going to try to kind of take shelter from those torpedoes in these islands. I know what you're saying, Tommy. You're going to try to take shelter in the middle of the islands. Yes! We're going to be a little bit more difficult to hit if we come into this area, and there's way more juicy battleships to try to strike. Yes, we kind of have a zoned off area where we'll be able to flee from, but we'll drop spot, and like I said, there are 3 other battleships behind us. There are much more juicy targets for them to go after, and they probably will. Anyways, we get spotted once again. We try to keep on kind of coming away around this island. Lion finally in range of our secondaries. This is exactly what we want. Secondaries are the bread and butter of Brandenburg. Much like Bismarck, they have those incredibly long-range secondaries, and if you can get in range, it's just the little bits of chip damage that you consistently do. And given how far that range is, you are able to get into that chip damage range fairly consistently. And that's one of the things I've been really liking with Brandenburg, especially with the guns that she has. You can kind of consistently get into secondary range, assuming you're not like just charging dead in. And you can last a good chunk of the match. Brandenburg, the lowest amount of hit points for any of, I'm going to call it the twins, the sisters, between the Bismarck, Tirpitz, and herself, lowest amount of hit points, but I find myself lasting in her the longest. I think having the guns that you have on here with their low penetration means you do kind of need to think out your steps and think out your plays a little bit more than, you know, kind of the gung-ho charge in with Tirpitz or Bismarck, and I really do appreciate that. Anyways, we're pushing through this island right here, and who pops up but the Shokaku, the enemy aircraft carrier, and one that is an absolutely juicy target for the secondary. So we want to get our secondaries engaged on it, but we can see the Roma is kind of pushing out from that A-cap, and we do need to be wary of him because, well, he is going to be definitely a bigger threat and one that we need to monitor because he will easily have access to our broadside. We check his range, we check if Shokaku is within our torpedo range. Sadly, is not, but we can see our secondaries are doing an absolute beautiful job at chunking away at the Shokaku, and that's exactly what we want to do. If we can maintain this angle, our secondaries will continue to kind of pummel. Well, they were pummeling the Shokaku, but now they've transitioned over to the Roma, so we're going to start to turn in and, well, prep our signature move, which is the torpedo launchers. One of the things you have to remember with Brandenburg, not really the best torpedo launchers positioning wise. They like to get destroyed or taken out, so you do have to be very, very cautious. Enough HE hits on this vessel and they're pretty much always going to go down, but we see this Roma clearly has decided that charging and probably the ram is his solution to trying to take us out, in which we are more than happy to oblige him to get close. We turn in one way, and then we realize, oh no, we're going to have to use the rear guns. Thankfully, the ram misses, and we turn, and the flooding from the torpedoes take him out. I thought maybe it was secondaries. Not quite. And now we are into B, and we can start flipping B. We see Gneisenau now has like literally no health. We try to steal the kill because, you know, you want to get those kills. And then we can see Kansas coming around the corner, and this is where we have to start to kind of be careful, because I do really want to flip the cap at this time, but that Kansas can do pretty good damage to us, and we kind of have to just slow down and see what his plan is. Try to turn our guns to be ready for him. We can see he's flat broadside to us, and the good thing about where he is one, he's within range of our secondaries. Kansas, also big on the superstructure and thin on the armor in said superstructure, so our secondaries can definitely have a nice juicy meal if we can manage to kind of keep him in range. But we also don't want to give ourselves flat broadside, because he will come around the corner. And oddly, we take the high cal there with adding, I think maybe one of the secondaries hit, or we started a fire on the Kansas. It's a very odd little segment right there where the high cal seems to come a little late. Kansas not paying us any mind. We'll launch our main guns towards him. They don't end up doing much. Sadly, we end up sailing out of the capture area because, well, at this point, we need to just kind of deal with this Kansas. He's kind of committed to being out here in the middle of nowhere. Our secondaries are doing decent hits on him, and we'll continue to chunk him down with the secondaries. He takes a good hit right there. And yeah, like I said, Brandenburg, it's really all about the secondaries. It's why I'm really enjoying the ship. Not really the torpedo launchers. It's nice to have them, but if you notice, literally at the second after we used our torpedo launchers, they got destroyed. They don't last long in this game, or at least not on the sides in the position where they are on the Brandenburg. Anyways, we finish off the loop, and there's only one ship remaining in the game. Sadly, we don't take B, and that's really it for this match. There isn't much left. We kind of make the choice: do we want to try to square in this destroyer, or do we go for A? We end up choosing the A route because you know, the domination victory, the being able to get all 3 capture points, always going to be worth more than finishing off any enemy ship, and you should always kind of try to play the long game, which is going to be those capture points. But anyways, guys, that's the Brandenburg. I really enjoy this ship. To be clear, it is not a competitive ship. It is not the greatest ship of all time. I would not use it in 1v1. I would not use it in ranked. The accuracy is not that great. Like, it has fundamental problems. It has low DPM, but it is a fun ship and one that I enjoy using. So take that with what it is. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.